Item number 8, public comments. We have, I believe, about 22 public comments today. Comments are limited to 3 minutes apiece and total, according to board rules, of 30 minutes. Mr. Austin?
Okay. As Chairman Bueller mentioned, we've got quite a few comments, so Scott and I are going to alternate on these, and we're going to get through it. The first comment is from Alan Garcia, and he simply states that ICE needs to stop profiting off of human misery. End the contract. Not everything is about money. Next comment, Scott.
Our next comment is from Alexis Sanchez. Good evening, McHenry County Board members. My name is Alexis Sanchez. I'm currently a junior at Woodstock High School. I'm writing to you on behalf of the 500 and counting children that have been separated from their families at our southern border at the hands of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and have not been reconnected with their families. An estimated 2,000 children in our country go missing every single day. This accumulates to approximately 740,000 a year, courtesy of the organization Global Missing Kids and Child Find of America. Personally, that is a staggering amount. I cannot imagine the grief those families are feeling. In police departments across the country, when a kid is reported missing, they treat it as an abduction. Many people involved work tirelessly to get said kids home safe and unharmed. While this may seem a bit off topic, I would argue otherwise. We should be working equally as hard to reconnect families and children separated by ICE. We see our country as one of strength, unity, power, and one of dreams. However, like every country, we have our flaws, and it is the utmost importance to acknowledge them. For the sake of our country, we must strive to be better. One of our greatest faults, I believe, is how we treat those who come to our country in the hopes of achieving a life better than they could have ever dreamed. We should feel flattered in how many people hope of one day being able to live in a country like ours. Sadly, I have come to learn many individuals in this country do not have that thought process. I strongly believe that immigrants must be treated with respect, just like any other native-born citizen. The fact of the matter is not that this is not the case. Earlier in this email, I brought up the 500 children that have been separated from their families with little hope of reconciliation with their families. My question is, why are those children not being treated the same as our native-born children? Countless times, whistleblowers have spoke out against ICE with claims of abuse and neglecting children at the border. Yes, these are only claims, but it is public knowledge that families are being torn apart and separated, that they are able to claim asylum in our country. Children are being separated from their parents and kept in cages that are reminiscent of prison cells. A majority of time, the conditions are next to horrendous. How they are currently being treated is inhumane. For being one of the greatest countries in the world, our treatment of asylum seekers is disgusting, not to mention the negative emotional and psychological effects it has on the children. They are treated badly when all they wanted to do is claim asylum in our country. The treatment of asylum seekers speaks to the organization itself and their core beliefs. Now that I have addressed some, yet not all of my concerns with ICE, I urge you, as an ordinary and informed student, to dissolve the contract that McHenry County has with them. It is inhumane, and it is possible to keep our country and county safe while treating asylum seekers with compassion and dignity. I firmly believe it is in our country's best interest to remove the ICE agent from our country. I beg you to consider my proposition, and I trust that you will all do what you believe is best. I greatly appreciate your time. You're taking the time to hear what I have to say. Thank you. Sincerest remarks, Alexis Sanchez, a concerned citizen. Kate?
Yeah, this is from Amanda Garcia. Good morning, members of the McHenry County Board. My name is Amanda Garcia. I've been a resident of Crystal Lake since 2007. I extend my welcome to the new County Board Chairman, the new board members, and those members who were re-elected. I extend my congratulations to each of you. I write this comment in support of passing Resolution 8564, which would cancel the intergovernmental agreement between McHenry County and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. For many of you, the sole purpose of maintaining this contract lies within the financial benefits it provides. I write to alert you to the financial liability this carries by housing people detained by ICE. Page 11 of the IGSA signed by Chairwoman Tina Hill on May 6, 2014 contains an indemnity clause assuring McHenry County will indemnify the federal government for damages caused by an act of any member of the local government or anyone else arising out of the use of property or vehicles which were owned by the federal government. The IGSA contains no other indemnity provision. On October 13, 2020, the Los Angeles County Board agreed to pay $14 million to settle a class action lawsuit alleging that the Sheriff Department routinely held people in jail beyond their release dates solely because of pending immigration investigations. As the McHenry County Sheriff is currently litigating the constitutionality of the Illinois Trust Act, which prohibits local police departments from honoring administrative ICE holds, I conclude that keeping ICE contract in place will make our county a target for future class action lawsuits. As I read it, the IGSA does not require the federal government to cover any of our liabilities. If you are unaware, a Mexican man detained by ICE at McHenry County Jail died in our custody in September of 2019. We were lucky this man had no identifiable family. If he had, we could have easily been faced with a wrongful death claim. Thank you for your attention. Amanda Garcia, attorney. Scott.
Next public comment is from Amanda Hall. Good morning. My name is Amanda Hall, and I'm a longtime resident of Woodstock. I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer, an educator, a parent, and volunteer in our community. Even though I have 3 young children, I still make acts of service and volunteering a central part of our lives, as I believe it must be part of creating the best possible community we can. I've often heard a phrase that made me feel proud to be an American. We are a land of immigrants. Well, I've come to realize in regards to that sentiment is that too many people actually don't hold firm to that belief. If every single person here in the United States truly felt honored and full of pride with the diversity our nation holds, believe in the right for everyone to seek the American dream, we wouldn't have detention centers hidden away in small towns throughout the United States. In small towns where most people don't even understand what their community is taking part in, let alone what injustices occur behind those walls or even out in the open. As a constituent and community member, I understand that we need to replace the funds that we are used to receiving from ICE, even though that amount is unknown. What all of you should know is and understand is that as a community member, I'm deeply disturbed that this contract has been allowed to continue for as long as it has. I am outraged that my community even permitted it at all. There is another institution that is more concerned with profit than people in our past. That is the institution of slave owners. It was more profitable to have slaves. Right now, everyone here would undoubtedly say that was wrong, and no one would argue that fact. Yet, this contract puts us in a similar place from where we were 150 years ago with slavery, with us having and taking power over other people's lives. It is critical that everyone starts seeing that parallel. The county's contractual agreement with ICE sees our immigrant community members as less than in every way and is more than happy to capitalize on the trauma people are trying to escape from in other countries or for simply a better life. To take part in something that is systematically racist to the core is incomprehensible and heinous. It is time to end the contract with ICE. Find the money elsewhere. Don't continue to take part in a system that targets people wanting a better life. Thank you for your time. Amanda Hall.
This next comment is from Andres Lopez. It simply states, the contract with ICE and McHenry County should end because it's tearing families apart. There is no justice in this.
Our next comment is from Annie Bellesco. Hello. In regards to the ICE contract, I have to voice my opinion in saying that it is completely unnecessary. McHenry County needs to end their contract with ICE, especially with COVID-19. This would help decrease the jail population. Also, using this misery as a form of bringing revenues is inhumane and should not reflect what McHenry County represents. Our county is and can do better. The expenses spent on these practices instead should be redirected to other social and educational resources that instead will benefit the community as a whole. Thank you.
This next comment is from Bella Jones. Our country was built by the labor of immigrants, where the privileged reap the benefits of their labor. People who seek a better life for themselves and their families should not be subject to criminalization or deportation, which subjects them to our already corrupt system that will hold them back even more. Cancel the ICE contract.
The next comment is from Katherine Meyer. Dear County Board members, my name is Katherine Meyer. My husband and I have lived in Woodstock since 1974. We have been involved in our community through the school district and many activities of our two children over the years. I worked part-time for 10 years for a local optometrist and volunteered my time wherever needed. We are active members of Grace Lutheran Church in Woodstock and have personally supported several local agencies that help those in need and in and around Woodstock and McHenry County. My husband and I own business property in Woodstock. As longstanding citizens and members of this community, we do not want our county to be part of a contract that puts profit over people. We believe in the rights of all people and don't think we'd ever live in a community or county where we would have to stand up to fight for that human right. I urge you to cancel the ICE contract. Sincerely and respectfully, Katherine Meyer.
Next comment is from Daniela Vandala. Good evening to the members of the McHenry County Committee. McHenry is an astonishing county as it provides exquisite schools, availability of resources, and jobs. Unfortunately, ICE is located in McHenry, where only two ICE center in the state of Illinois. One is in Chicago and the other is in McHenry. Why should McHenry have a center to break families, force McHenry citizens out of the county? Our county should be a place of union and business opportunity and not fear from being separated from families and loved ones. Immigrants migrated to the U.S. for a better life for their families and loved ones. McHenry shouldn't be an exception, McHenry shouldn't be an except, rather be a county to accept immigrants from all over the world and build McHenry as a better place and work within the county. Getting rid of the ICE contract will unite McHenry as a whole, build more business, as many immigrants have amazing ideas for business, and build more job opportunities. Having the ICE contract wouldn't be a benefit in McHenry, rather the people having to pay taxes to get members of McHenry out of McHenry and breaking families. The money used for ICE should be used for schools, small businesses, and even resources. Thank you so much for reading my comments and listening to my opinions. Scott.
Our next public comment is from Eva Baker. There is a reckoning happening in this country. There are unprecedented numbers of grassroots organizations and citizens demanding the breakdown of systematic oppression, immigration reform, police reform, the end of mass incarceration, and the end of the prison industrial complex. ICE is one of the agencies that is under constant scrutiny of the media and the organizations that are leading the fight for reform. Among the atrocities committed by ICE are claims of sexual abuse and the separation of young children from the arms of their families at our borders. The Intercept published a report by the DHS Office of Inspector General revealing that 1,224 sexual abuse complaints while in ICE custody were filed between January 2010 and June 2017. Contrary to ICE's claims, only 2% of these complaints were investigated. Under the zero tolerance policy, ICE has separated thousands of young children from their families at our borders, resulting in many children being given up for adoption. In a series of court cases, many foster families were able to gain full custody of migrant children as they were housing without notification or consent of their parents. Even after legislation banning family separation was enacted, many parents have been deported without their children, resulting in over 545 young children remaining in U.S. custody that may never see their families again because currently ICE is unable to locate them. I would like each of you to ask yourselves if you trust ICE. Do you want McHenry County to be complicit when, not if, ICE is brought up on federal charges for human rights violations? Does the dwindling revenue from the ICE detention contract warrant the stain on the reputation of McHenry County? I implore you to do the right thing. Put people before profit. Be on the right side of history and set an example for other counties and cities across the country. Vote to end the ICE detention contract. Eva Baker, Woodstock.
Next comment is from Jackie Flores. We need to cancel the contract with ICE. There is no need to have such extreme law enforcement. It scares people and people should not live in fear. Scott.
The next comment is from Jennifer Anderson. I have written previously with reasons we need to cancel the ICE contract. Today, I want to take the opportunity to remind you all that it is something that is still important to your constituents. Every day that nothing is done adds harm to our community, as harm that our community is currently allowing. It is time to put in our 30-day notice that we intend to end the ICE contract. Jenny Anderson.
This next comment is from Jenny Sanchez. Dear McHenry County Board, I'm writing to ask the board to dissolve its contract with ICE. I am a McHenry County resident and I have lived within the county for 18 years while residing in Woodstock for the past 13 of those years. By profession, I am an elementary teacher within the county. I have worked with the educational field for 22 years and have earned 2 graduate degrees in the field, including one in educational leadership. I feel that my education and experience has given me the background and knowledge to comment on the effects of ICE detention centers on children and families. As of October, over 500 children have been identified as having been separated from their families with little hope of reconciliation. There may be more, but we haven't uncovered thus far. That is the size of an elementary school in which I teach. That is 500 families that are in constant worry and despair over not knowing whether their child is healthy, being fed or clothed, or if they're even alive, yet alone if they are happy and loved. 500 may not seem like a large number in relation to the size of the country. However, to the families of those 500 children, it seems like a million. As a parent and a human being, I cannot fathom how it is acceptable to house human beings as though they were animals, or worse, and separate them from their families. The effects of the separation of parents and children is irreparable. These families are suffering immense psychological and emotional harm. Some of the negative effects include anguish, despair, guilt, stress, anxiety, fear, and depression. Research has shown that the long-term effects of these negative emotions can lead to increased risk of heart disease, alcohol and drug addiction, suicidal thoughts, and shortened life expectancies. These children are having their lives forever altered for the worse. As human beings, this is horrific and inhumane. To purposely ensure a child's life will forever feel negative effects of forced family separation is occurring at ICE detention centers. In order to maintain the dignity of McHenry County and ensure the safety and future of all children, the contract with ICE needs to be dissolved. Thank you for the opportunity to address my concerns. Jenny Sanchez.
Next public comment is from Jill Pixley. Dear members of the McHenry County Board, thank you for hearing public comment. Let our county not be stained in history as one who participated in the ICE detainment. The practice is riddled with human rights violations. One could compare this to our country conducting Japanese internment camps, which is now remembered as an atrocity in our American history. As persons of influence and power, please allow history to guide your decisions for the benefit of our county's families. Please stand up against this contract. Bill Pixley, Woodstock, Illinois.
The next comment is from Jose Lopez. Born out of lies and deception by the Bush administration, ICE has been routinely used to terrorize undocumented immigrants who come here with one goal in mind: to take care of their family and work hard, values that most Americans hold near and dear to their heart. Unfortunately, undocumented community members have been labeled as villains by many politicians and agitators which in turn has made it easier to harass and abduct them. McHenry County has become a part of this. As a county, we offer the opportunity for ICE to abduct our undocumented neighbors and detain them locally. Having this in our county doesn't make it safer or more desirable to live in. On the contrary, it has made undocumented and documented immigrants alike worry about their well-being. Lastly, I will not get into the monetary aspect of it because there is none. I believe human lives don't and should not have a price. Detention for profit is not morally correct.
The next comment is from Natalie Dominguez. Hello. I believe the ICE contract with McHenry County needs to be canceled for the following reasons. No individual should be targeted due to their status. The targeting and marginalization of groups of people destroys the sense of community that the county strives to create. How can there be community if we are targeting specific community members? This marginalization is also often targeted towards people of color due to the help of the media. This marginalization then creates stereotypes, bias, and prejudice towards certain individuals within our community. The contract with ICE needs to be terminated. Thank you, Natalie Dominguez.
This next comment is from Renee Hill. McHenry County members, please end the contract with ICE. Our financial needs must not outweigh the humanity of showing care for another human being. ICE is not discriminatory in their arrests, showing little observance to just, fair, and equal justice. There are other equally effective ways to monitor the location of people who have outstayed their visas, come here illegally, or who have been brought here through no fault of their own. And the ICE contract, thank you. Renee Hill, 17910 Harmony Road, Marengo.
Next comment is from Ricky Rodriguez. To whom it may concern, I have lived in this county my whole life, 22 years in county. I have a great life where I'm able to have a roof over my head, food on the table, and a full-time job. One thing that doesn't sit well with me or our community is having McHenry County continue the contract with ICE, which is notorious and famously known to separate families, arrest hardworking people who come for a better life, and help contribute to the greater good of our society. It's an agency built on hate and destruction. No human is illegal. We are all equal, and we all want what's best for everyone. Maintaining the ICE contract does the exact opposite, bringing division to our community and upholding that division. We should not allow that to keep going while we relentlessly urge our board members to make the decision to cancel the contract. A system that allows money to be made by the incarceration of humans is the cruelest thing one can allow, and for that we ask persistently and we fight relentlessly to end the contract with ICE and no longer allow having that in our community. Thank you, Ricky Rodriguez.
This next comment is from Standing Up Against Racism Woodstock to the county board. Supporters and organizations have come together to form a coalition to demand that you, the McHenry County Board, cancel the contract with ICE. Immigrant organizations are in the lead in this fight and will work tirelessly to continue to create awareness in our community and beyond. From our immigrant organizers, nosotros rechazamos la expansión del migro en nuestro estado. You know what? This is all Spanish. I can't read that. I apologize. I'm going to go down to the next paragraph. We believe that immigrants are deserving the same human rights we are entitled to. We should not let borders stand between us and compassion. In a community founded on immigration and conquest of foreign lands, it is hypocritical of us to decide who deserves dignity based on the origins of birth. In the land of freedom and opportunity, we should be understanding of those who want to seek a better life. The crimes committed against the individuals by caging, separating, and restricting the mobility of another are ones that come at the expense of our own humanity. Our country claims to pride itself on diversity, inclusion, and strives for equity. Yet the actions of ICE are in direct contradiction to those values and our beliefs as community members in this society. The actions of ICE are deplorable and morally reprehensible, both locally and nationwide. Some people are still unaware that McHenry County has housed an ICE facility for 16 years in our community of Woodstock, Illinois. Immigrants from all over Chicagoland and throughout our nation are sent here to be incarcerated. We are descendants of immigrants, and as immigrants, it is our obligation to help improve the quality of life for all. Instead of creating family separation and upholding systematic oppression and human rights violations, we can help people navigate the systems of our country in order for them to thrive and continue to be active members of society. We believe that we should treat asylum seekers with dignity and respect. We can no longer be complicit in detaining immigrants at the cost of community values, putting profit over people. We have witnessed the atrocities that ICE partakes in at the national level, and we refuse to have this type of violence. We will not rest until the contract is canceled. I'm going to struggle with a couple of these. Federación de Migrantes Unidos por Veracruz, Solidaridad de DePage Centro de Trabajaderos Casa DePage, Coalición de Migrantes Mexicanos, Federación Hidalguense del Illinois y Medio Oriente, Migrant Solidarity of DePage, Standing Up for Racism Woodstock, Elgin in Solidarity of Black Lives Matter, Activists for Racial Equity Crystal Lake, Elgin Coalition for Immigrant Rights, Tree of Life, Congregation Social Justice Team, Occupy Elgin, Fox Valley Citizens for Peace and Justice. That's it.
Our next public comment is Standing Up Against Racism. Hello and greetings to all McHenry County Board members. This letter has been written on behalf of the leadership team of Stand Up Against Racism, Woodstock. Our group is over 820 strong, and our efforts focus on breaking down the laws of systematic racism, racial oppression, and putting an end to mass incarceration and prison for profit. We are all descendants of immigrants. We live in a country that is supposed to value equality, diversity, and inclusion. Inscribed on the Statue of Liberty are the words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores, send these, the homeless tempest, toss to me. I lift the lamp beside the golden door." Historically, this country has not treated immigrants and asylum seekers with dignity, kindness, or compassion. Think of Native Americans, the Irish, Jews, and the Japanese. This country turned away a ship of 900 German Jews on the eve of the Holocaust. Soon after, our country rejected a proposal to allow 20,000 Jewish children to come to this country for safety. This is a moral stain on our nation's conscience, and it continues today with the treatment of immigrants. Here we are debating this contract after 545 innocent children in the ICE custody were forcibly ripped from the arms of their parents. After women were given hysterectomies without consent. The list of atrocities committed by ICE is a long one, and it is what we have tied ourselves to with this contract. We have a moral obligation to stand up for human rights. We are obliged to stand against profiting from the oppression and abuse of asylum seekers, most of whom are escaping horrific violence, extreme poverty, sexual exploitation, and religious persecution. Will McHenry County be responsible for human rights violations, denial of due process, denial of equal protection, and freedom from discrimination based on race, ethnicity, and national origin? We implore you to put human rights before profit, human dignity before greed. End McHenry County's contract with ICE. It is time. Sincerely, the administration team of Standing Up Against Racism, Woodstock. Eva Baker, Adriana Carbajal, Cindy Caesar, Amanda Hall, Dee Myers, Jill Pixley, Tracy Soto Garcia, Thomas Soto Garcia. That's the end.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. We have two more comments. This one is from Teresa Sue Reckenthaler from Richmond. I'm writing in regard to the county contract with ICE regarding housing immigration detainees in our county jail. There is a program run by an outside agency hired by ICE that has an alternative that is more cost-effective, humane, and efficient. As a taxpayer, I do not want my taxes that are paid to the federal government and then sent to the county level to be used to house people generally there because of a civil offense. Electronic monitoring, home confinement, would allow families to stay together heads of the household to continue to work to support their families and free the jail staff who are participating in a very flawed immigration system. Please take a look at some of these successful means of working with ICE and working towards a more humane system. Thank you.
And our final public comment for the morning is from Tony Bradburn. Hi, my name is Tony Bradburn, and I live in Crystal Lake near Crystal Lake South High School. First, I want to welcome all new members to this important council. Not everyone wants to spend their time at the county level, but you have not only volunteered to do that, but many of you competed for the spot and won. Congratulations. I'm excited for you and the opportunity to affect positive change. You have entered this political area during an exciting time in the United States. You are stepping into this role in the midst of a racial awakening. This is a time when we're seeing patterns in our government that negatively affect those who are marginalized. We are continuing to learn how the marginalized are negatively impacted by the policies we have blindly supported. Now, however, the scales are lifting from our eyes. You now get to affect change in McHenry County. For almost 2 decades, McHenry County has participated in the imprisonment of immigrants by contracting with the federal government for an ICE detention facility in Woodstock. Now you get to help cancel that contract. We do not want to be part of the largest detention system in the world, and ending the ICE contract here in McHenry County brings us one step closer in a movement for immigration reform. Housing this detention center directly violates our community values. Families belong together. Our neighbors should move throughout the community without fear of being detained. No matter someone's immigration status, their life is of value, and they should be treated with dignity and respect. ICE deprives the liberty of immigrants, refugees, and people seeking asylum. Plus, during this time of COVID, the ICE facility encourages the worldwide infection of COVID. So it's time to cancel the contract with ICE. Again, welcome. Thank you for your service and your commitment to serving the people of McHenry County. Respectfully, Anthony Bradburn, District 2. And then, end of public comments, Mr. Chairman.